In 2022, the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales flooded so severely it became one of Australia's most expensive natural disasters on record. Entire towns went under, cattle died, topsoil washed into the Pacific Ocean. Jeff Imeson, a retired police officer turned fourth-generation cattle farmer near Nimbin, watched it happen from his 107-hectare property, a coffee camp. And then he did something every engineer in the region said wasn't the real solution. He planted trees. Not a few. 14,000 native trees along 2.5 kilometers of his creek bank. What happened next rewrote how the entire watershed thinks about flooding. Drop a comment. Does your property flood or shed water during heavy rain? The 2022 Northern Rivers inundation didn't surprise Jason Alexandra. It confirmed what he'd spent years trying to get engineers and governments to take seriously. Alexandra is a senior researcher at the Australian National University's Institute for Climate, Energy, and Disaster Solutions. For years, he'd been watching communities rebuild the same damaged infrastructure after every major event: levees, pumps, drainage channels, while ignoring the upper reaches of watersheds where the problem actually began. His argument was straightforward. When rain falls on bare, compacted land stripped of its native cover, it has nowhere to go. It sheets off immediately. It concentrates. It accelerates downhill, picking up soil and momentum until it hits lower ground as a destructive surge. The damage downstream isn't created downstream. It's created kilometers away, on hillsides and creek margins that lost their vegetation decades earlier. When the National Emergency Management Authority commissioned the ANU to produce national guidelines on nature-based mitigation approaches, Alexandra's research pointed to a principle that felt almost too simple to be taken seriously. Slow the water higher in the drainage area before it accumulates into something unstoppable below. If water can be slowed higher in the catchment, Alexandra told ABC News, then the flood peak is typically lower and longer. Lower peak, longer duration. The difference between a surge that damages everything in one violent rush and one that rises gradually and allows time to respond. The CSIRO released a parallel study into engineered solutions for the Richmond River system in the same period. Their findings complemented Alexandra's. Hard levees and pumps remained essential in major events, but they addressed accumulated surge after it had gathered its full force. Nature-led approaches addressed it before that force built. Prevention higher up. Management lower down. Two halves of the same answer. Jeff Imeson was already living the first half. Jeff Imeson didn't plant 14,000 trees because a government agency told him to. He planted them because 4 generations of his family had farmed coffee camp, and he could see what the land had lost. There's not a lot of trees out here, he told ABC News. We always started out with the idea that we wanted to rewild it, make it a productive farm, but put some native plants back on it. The cleared creek margins along his waterway had been stripped before his family owned the property. Without root systems anchoring the edges, every high water event eroded more material. Without overhead cover slowing rainfall impact on the surface, every storm generated faster runoff. Without understory holding moisture, the creek swung between violent inundation and low dry season trickle. Before going further, hit subscribe if this kind of content matters to you. Real farmers, verified outcomes, approaches any landowner can study and apply. More is coming, and it's worth staying for. The Caring for Catchments scheme, funded jointly by state and federal governments through the NSW Reconstruction Authority, identified 35 Northern Rivers landholders willing to do what Imeson was already doing. Together, those 35 properties established more than 84,000 trees and grasses along 40 kilometers of riverbank. That's not a symbolic gesture. That's a functioning biological network. Root systems anchoring edges against erosive surge, canopy intercepting rainfall before it hits bare earth, ground cover slowing sheet flow before it reaches the channel. It took Imeson 2 years to complete his 2.5-kilometer stretch. He projects 7 to 10 years before the overhead growth closes enough to block sun, suppress competing weeds, and create the stable microenvironment that makes the revegetation self-sustaining. 7 to 10 years. That's not a delay. That's a construction timeline for living infrastructure that functions indefinitely. Here's the complete mechanism, broken down simply. Every river system has an upper zone and a lower zone. The upper zone is where rain falls first, on hillsides, plateaus, and creek margins far from population centers. The lower zone is where water accumulates before passing through towns, across farmland, and toward the sea. Modern flood engineering focuses almost entirely on the lower zone. Levees hold surge back. Pumps move it out. Drainage channels direct it away from buildings. These are reactive tools. They manage high water that has already gathered its destructive force somewhere upstream. Revegetating creek margins works in the upper zone, before the force builds. Deep root systems penetrating creek edges physically hold material against the mechanical pressure of fast-moving water. When that structural anchor is absent, each surge removes another layer of bank material, widening the channel, accelerating future events, and depositing that eroded sediment across downstream farmland. Overhead growth intercepts incoming rainfall before it contacts bare earth. Each leaf and branch breaks the kinetic energy of falling drops, the same impact energy that shatters soil aggregates and seals surface crust on compacted ground. Intercepted rain falls more slowly. Slower impact means less crusting. Less crusting means more enters the profile rather than becoming runoff. Low ground cover, grasses and understory species, further slows the sheet flow that does form, giving it more time to soak in before reaching the channel. The combined effect, measured across restored Australian watersheds, consistently reduces what hydrologists call the surge peak, the maximum height and velocity a high water event reaches. A reduced peak means lower levels at critical points downstream, more warning time for communities to respond, and less erosive force against bridges, roads, and properties. The trees aren't decoration. They're the first line of flood defense. But this isn't a story that only matters if you live somewhere prone to floods. The 2022 Northern Rivers event caused an estimated $5.7 billion in damage across the region, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in Australian history. Lismore, Karaki, and Woodburn recorded inundation levels that exceeded previous records by significant margins. NEMA's national guidelines, completed by the ANU team, explicitly stated that nature-led mitigation had a role in building community resilience, but noted that effectiveness depended entirely on location, scale, and integration with existing hard engineering. It's very much dependent on the specific location, Alexander told researchers. We don't want to go thinking there's a simple solution. That caveat matters for American landowners in flood-prone regions of the Southeast, the Mississippi River Basin, or the Pacific Northwest, where riparian clearing over the past century has produced precisely the same vulnerability that cost the northern rivers $5.7 billion. The United States loses an estimated $50 billion annually to high water damage. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has increasingly recognized vegetation-based mitigation as a cost-effective alternative to repeated engineering investment, particularly in areas where climate patterns are shifting toward more intense but less frequent precipitation events. Jeff Imeson's 14,000 trees cost a fraction of what a single failed levee repair costs. He doesn't expect them to stop a 2022 scale event. Neither does NSW Minister for Recovery Janelle Safin, who noted clearly that nature-led approaches complement engineered structures. They don't replace them. What they do is reduce the violence of what arrives at those structures. Lower the surge peak. Slow the rush. Give the levee less to hold. For any landowner with creek frontage, cleared riparian margins, or flood-prone lower acreage, that reduction starts with the next planting season, not next decade. This season, Jeff Imeson didn't stop the 2022 event. Nobody could, but he changed what the next one will do to his property and every property downstream. 14,000 trees, 2.5 kilometers, 7 to 10 years to close the canopy. The best flood defense sometimes has no concrete in it. Subscribe.